Yeah, bang bang rail. My father-in-law, Mickey Johnson, was telling me a few stories about Johnny Bindon, but my father-in-law was a proper gangster, mate. Um, he was very close to Jimmy Moody, and him and Jimmy Moody and quite a few others used to go up at the steel mines and all that up right up in up north and all that, and rob big firms, yeah, of the wages, and get in the back of the vans, nick the money. The old man, my father-in-law was absolutely minted, yeah. He got big bird, but when he was talking to me about what they did to him up there, they put plastic bags over their head, tied them up, and until they wanted to make statements. My father-in-law collapsed about 3 times, but he wouldn't do it. My father-in-law was like that, mate, solid. Jimmy Moody had gone, he slipped. Nothing was said about him, but my father-in-law said that he was there, he was working with him always. Anyway, then my father-in-law was talking to me about Bindon, uh, Johnny Bindon. I mean, Bindon used to come around the house quite a bit, my father-in-law's house, and I've only seen him a couple of times there, but I didn't really like him because me and him always fell out. He's a bit flash, and he didn't look too good when he was around my father-in-law's house. He never used to look good. He used to look like withered away, yeah. And it was the time he must have had AIDS, yeah. He was dying of AIDS, and my father-in-law told me a story about Bindon, because my father-in-law, when he went away, when he got that big bit of bird with over doing all the robberies up north and all that, this, that, and the other, in the black countries and all that, my father was telling me a story about Bindon being wrapped around the Krays all the time, and there was a big suspicion, a big thing going about with Bindon taking kids up to the Krays. Kids, taking young kids, like 5, 6, 7-year-old kids up there, and being with the Krays all the time, walking about with these young kids. And that big suspicion going about that Ronnie and Reggie was getting all the Bindon and sending Bindon to bring kids up there, because they like kids, they want to take them out and this, that, and the other. And there was a thing about Reggie, well, more than Ronnie really, that he died of AIDS, and a lot of people said, no, he died of this, he died of cancer, but he died of AIDS, mate. He died of AIDS, and then Johnny Bindon later on died of AIDS. Everybody wrapped around Bindon died of AIDS. Believe me, there's people, that you never think. But you trying to look at it in another way, certain people that died of AIDS wouldn't have been really cremated, they'd have been buried, because them people, proper people, I'm on about royalty, those in wheelchairs and all that, yeah, they got really, really ill and they're cremated, so a lot of people were saying that person died of AIDS because of what Bindon did. Whether or not it's true was just going about at that time from my father-in-law telling me, yeah. Well, then, on top of that, my mother-in-law, Dina, she was absolutely stunning, Dina. When the old man went away, Johnny Bindon was always around the house because my daddy used to tell me, her daughter used to tell me that Johnny Bindon was always there, always there around the house, so when Danny come in from work, she'd go in the front room and Bindon would be there having a drink, and Danny would go to bed and he'd still be there. By the morning he'd leave, yeah. So it was my father-in-law was a bad man, Mickey Johnson, and when I hear these stories, and I think to myself, no, he couldn't have, there's no way that Johnny Bindon could have took liberties with my mother-in-law, because when I've been around the house a couple of times and see Bindon sitting there with my father-in-law, if my father-in-law thought that he was getting hold of Dina, he would have put one in his nut without a shadow of a doubt. My father was a nutcase, mate, a bad man, dangerous man. Definitely put in his nut. But then I heard that Dina my mother-in-law, and Mickey Johnson both died of AIDS. You know, you get these stories, you hear these things, and it broke me and my Danny up. And it broke. I know it wasn't how that got at the funeral. Of course, murders around the house. I mean, me and Danny just completely went bombs. I mean, for me to go to the house and Danny to throw gloss paint all over me and all that and get me nicked and put um, in Kingston police station and go to the high courts and all that, going mad about they shouldn't be like that and give me bail to get myself all cleaned up. Everything got out of proportion. It went mad. And there, as I say, there was a great big concern about Johnny BINDON taking kids to the Krays. And Johnny BINDON died of AIDS. And so did Ronnie Kray died of AIDS. And was them two playing games? Was Johnny BINDON playing games with them? You don't know. It just seems a bit strange to me, yeah? Knowing that's a dark horse, but I'll put a thumbnail up there with Johnny BINDON and the Krays and the little kid, and to see what you say yourself. It just seems a bit strange that BINDON was wrapped around them like he was, yeah? Because BINDON come from Fulham, yeah? He was around the Fulham area. Why did he go right up there with that little firm? Yeah? And when I talked to Frankie Fraser, he was in Chelmsford and all this, that and the other, he never ever once mentioned Ronnie Bender. Johnny BINDON. Never once did he mention Johnny BINDON. Never. So what was going on there? Because Kray from Fraser used to go up there, but he never once mentioned Johnny BINDON. You know what I mean? Everything just seemed weird. The whole lot of it seemed weird, And Johnny BINDON, to me, do you know what? As a person, me and Johnny BINDON had a fight, and he put me on my arse, yeah, outside the Cromwellian and the Cromwell Road, yeah, outside the club. I respected John. When he did that, you know what I mean? Because I was up and coming. I was good amateur, you know what I mean? I was up and coming, and he put me on my arse. Fair play to him, yeah. And we've had a few fights, me and John. John's won a couple, I won a couple, and the last one we had wasn't a fight really. It was Johnny BINDON that put me in hospital for a long time, intensive care, blood transfusion, a lot. I thought everybody thought I was going to die. It's only because of my strength and my power that I survived it. Yeah. When he bashed me up, because he was already dying anyway, he didn't care. He didn't care if he'd go and get a life imprisonment, I suppose, because, but how was he going to get? I mean, there's no way that my Danny would have never grasped him up, and there's no way in a million years that I would have grasped him up. But I didn't really know who'd done this to me until later on, because I didn't see anybody. All I can remember is being in hospital, blacked out. My Danny told me when she came up, when I was conscious that BINDON done me across here with a bar, hammers, and just smashed me to pieces. So BINDON was a nutcase. But at that time, when he done that to me, he was dying of AIDS. He was actually dying of AIDS then, yeah. I was quite lucky, really, because he died, He died before I could get to him. I mean, if I'd have got to him after what he'd done to me, I'd have killed him, and maybe I'd have got a life imprisonment for it, you know what I mean? He went over the top. He smashed me black and blue, yeah. He smashed my spine. He cracked my skull. There wasn't much cuts in my head. He just crashed when he wasn't hitting with a bar. He split my skull, yeah. And as I say, then he hit me all around my body and smashed on my arms and my legs and my kneecaps, my joints, everything. And I had a blood transfusion where he did cut me around my arms and everything like that. And I'm pouring my blood. He just smashed my arms to pieces. How I ever got back to lifting weights and got strong again, I don't know, because all my joints, he ruined my joints, yeah, my legs and he knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew exactly where to hit, you know. My fingers was all smashed, you know. So he really gave me a beating, and you know, just because I bashed him up, he gave me a beating. And John's one of them people that you can't beat. You can't beat him. You know, he will come back. You beat him, he would come back. You beat him, he would come back. And the only way to beat John was to kill him or maim him. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm glad he died. Not glad he died, but he died, and he died of AIDS. Um, as I say, there's quite a few people wrapped around him that died of AIDS, and you know, it's a shame. But my father-in-law, when he died, you know, I was concerned. He died of AIDS. My mother-in-law, she died of AIDS. You know, and I often think what's going on there, you know what I mean? They both died of AIDS. Everybody said they got cancer. Same as Johnny BINDON. When Johnny BINDON died, everybody said he died of cancer, but he died of AIDS. Mother-in-law died of AIDS, father-in-law died of AIDS. Someone that was on an island with him, she also died of AIDS. You know, there was a big concern when she was in a wheelchair. Anybody ever see that? When she was in a wheelchair, and she also died of AIDS. You know, they cremated her, yeah? Well, if you don't cremate people like that, they usually get buried and they put into a chapel like Westminster and things like that and put into a proper coffin. But she well, you know, she got cremated, you know, which is very unusual, you know, for someone like that, a royalty, to get cremated. And the concern was that she died of AIDS. That's what went around. I mean, I'm only telling you what I was told from people, yeah, from people that know was in that circle. And then going backwards, you know, before this happened, he got acquitted of the murder of Johnny Dark, yeah. And a lot of people say that he stabbed Johnny Dark because it was over cocaine and all that and bits and pieces like that, really. But it wasn't about cocaine at all. Johnny Dark and BINDON was close, really, and they was always shoveling the gear, you know. And when you're shoveling the gear, you get really paranoid. After a while, it's taking too much, you take some shit gear, you get paranoid, and you become nasty, yeah. We all know that, because I should think most of the people on my podcast and people that do these videos and podcasts, they all of them, most of them, mate, from every one of them, yeah, have took coke and been involved in coke, and they're now trying to say it's coke. You know, it's coke. I was on coke, I was on crack. I've got Big Bird of it being on crack, got on IPB being on crack. But when them two, Johnny Dart and BINDON, had a fight, it wasn't about coke, and it wasn't about crack. It was about cougar hands. You know, you get to hear. My father-in-law told me all these things before. He was buying them as well. My father-in-law was buying bits and pieces of a BINDON before. I was told that BINDON was getting cougar hands, and he was taking them back on the jets, going to Norfolk Air Base, aerodrome with Princess Margaret, because Princess Margaret would be in the jet, fly back home, and BINDON would sometimes be with her and get to Norfolk Airport, and then she'd drop him off down to the Muse flat that she bought BINDON, and she'd go in there with BINDON. Well, this is what I got told, that BINDON was involved with the cougar hands, and Dart was also involved in it, but didn't pay BINDON X amount of money when he took a load. And that is what the problem was about. It wasn't about Charlie and coke and all that shit. It was about that. BINDON would not get involved with selling coke and mucking about with coke. It's not. He ain't that. But cougar hands, yes, clean money, bomb, and he'd get a suitcase, not a case, a carrier bag. Oh God, I mean carrier bag. One of them carriers, fill it with cougar hands, how many cougar hands, and get on a private jet, go to Norfolk Air Base, get out there in the in the black limousine with her and go to the Muse. She'd go her way, or she'd get in with Bindon, and then that's about it. But I was told that, that he was doing the Cougar rounds. That was a big thing. The old man told me, and I believe what the old man was telling me about it, because the old man loved this shovel too. But he said no, Bindon was on it. He was always on it when he come around the house, Ray. He was always on it with me. Him and Stanton, even Jimmy Ward. They was always on it. He said Moody was the worst one. Moody used to love a shovel as well. And a guy called Ronnie Brown. Ronnie Brown looked a little bit like an Indian, very dark Ronnie Brown. He was one of the ones that got on the van that got Biggsy out, when they got Biggsy out of Wandsworth prison. Ronnie Brown was one of the ones that pulled him up by the rope, yeah? Yeah, Ronnie Brown. It's my uncle, Ronnie Brown, through marriage and all that. Ronnie Brown. A lot of people that know him. He always reminded me of Freddie Rondell. Short, thick set guy. Could have a right round, mate, Ronnie Brown. A lot of people that should know him. But he was the one that got Biggsy out of Wandsworth prison, yeah? So, like my father, he was like, my father-in-law knew so many people, mate. He was well respected, but I didn't marry, I was involved with his daughter, involved with the family. How I never got killed, I don't know, because I should have got killed 3 or 4 times by the old man. I mean, the old man, shot at me and, hit me in the shoulder, come to my house to chop me up, across the road. 3 or 4 of them in a car. They was going to kill me, but they all come every time. The old man's car and stuck. When they come to my house through Jimmy Ward, I think my father-in-law had something to do with that. We've got to do him. He's becoming a pain in the butt, me, and they come to my house to Jimmy Wall paid them money, 25 grand to hit me, these people. And I believe now that the people that come to my house and shot my dog and shot up my house were the people that Jimmy Wall give to come and kill me. Because who else would they come to my house, shoot it up and kill my dog and shoot my house up, This don't seem, I can't put my hand on anybody, or anybody who done it. I had a big thing about Mickey Theo, but that was, someone told me that to cause problems, yeah. But yeah, I really believe that when I see the that thing from court, the court statement and all that, and I see it, and I thought, well, affidavits and bits and pieces from Jimmy Ward and all this, that and the other, and saying that he'd pay people 25 grand to come and shoot me, to come and give me a hit, and then they come to my house and just missed me by a couple of minutes, and shot the car up, my Jeep up, went in my house, shot my bull mastiff 2 times, and then my boy ran off, and then they shot all the place up. They had an automatic and had a revolver that was found under the car, one of the cars at the front, at the back rather, and mad. They was proper hit people, because they never took the guns with them. They just chucked the guns under the motor, because they didn't want to be caught with the guns. They put them under the car. It's mad, And the night, and I started to go around hurting people that I thought maybe that I owe money to over certain things, and I was doing silly things to these people where they had nothing to do with anything. But at that stage, when they shot my house up and killed my dog, and evidently if my son had been around and he hadn't gone into my little hidey hole, then more likely I might have killed my boy. So that ain't good, is it? You got to look for them people. You got to try and find them, and I found them on people, and I caused a lot of problems. But we all would do the same thing. And when I met someone, he told me that it was Mickey Theo, and what can I say? You know what I mean? But it wasn't Mickey Theo. Obviously, I made a big mistake and I made mud myself right off really, because they had to go at Mickey Theo. Mickey Theo was the sort of guy that to stand the bollocks for me. He'd give me it back what I'd give him. You know, he didn't care, mate. You know, I mean, then he was involved with this John Fury. You know, big John Fury turned out saying that Johnny Fury wants to fight anybody, and Mickey Theo was there 24/7. He wanted to fight for Fury, and he was going up Manchester and putting posters up and bits and pieces. So Mickey Theo wasn't no mug, you know. And me saying what I said, Mickey Theo come back to me like a ton of bricks. He didn't muck about, mate. He's giving me grief, you know. All right, you know. He didn't give a monkeys who I was. He didn't care, you know. He just gave me grief. Anyway, so, and then after, I mean, you know, when everything happens, like it did, you know, with me and Bindon and all that, you know, I'm just gutted really, because I feel, I mean, even when Alan Stanton I was in Chelmsford with Alan Stanton, and I remember Alan always talking about his Mrs. Jackie Stanton, and she was pretty, and she used to go around my mother-in-law's house all the time, and there was mates, you know, and my daddy mates. And when I come out of prison, and Alan Stanton, I think he'd gone somewhere else or he'd been moved or whatever, I'm not quite sure, but and Jackie Stanton was with Jimmy Ward. There was murders, mate. There was murders, and I said to Jimmy Ward, that's Alan Stanton's wife, mate. Even I know, he said, I'm with her now, and that's all there is to it. And I said, well, you got to suffer the consequences. He said, I ain't bothered about the consequences. He was Hell's Angel, but not the Hell's Angel. He had a bike, but he wasn't one of the Hell's Angels that ride around the bike all the time. He was one of them Hell's Angels that are suited and booted, and they're supposed to be the ones. They're supposed to be like a big mafia thing, isn't it? So he was quite dangerous anyway, Jimmy Ward. And he was always around my gaff because the gaff belonged to him. And, you know, and he would tell me stories about Bindon when I asked him stories, you know. And he told me, because Bindon was dead, you know, he just told me the stories about the time Bindon took him over the common and they had a fight about Alan Stanton's wife, and Jimmy Ward hit Bindon on the chin. Bindon just shook his head and come back and stabbed Jimmy Ward in the belly, and you know, and done a bad job of him, cut him bad, and really bashed him up, you know. And then, you know, Alan Stanton tried to kill Jimmy Ward. It's all news comes out. He tried to kill Jimmy Ward. He tried to shoot Jimmy Ward over he beat him with Jackie Stanton. And then, you know, like all that happens, and, you know, it's things that I'm told, that I get told about, you know, and, you know, I mean, Johnny BINDON didn't care, mate. He didn't care about people. He didn't care about people. He was like, you know, one of these guys that he thought he was like number one. He didn't have no fear for anybody. He was a tough nut. He had a lot of respect from a lot of people. They was all petrified of him. All petrified of Bindon, except people like Tony Lawrence and people like that. I mean, you know, I see Nosh Chappelle, as I told you, Nosh Chappelle knocked out Johnny BINDON when he got a bit leery down a gas club, yeah. I should imagine Nosh Chappelle was the governor. Even Nosh Chappelle was wrapped around the Krays and the Richardsons and all that firm. Nosh Chappelle and Joe Pyle and Alex Steen and all that little firm. Alex Steen was a proper gangster, Alex Steen. I remember Alex Steen, Ray Bender, when I was in Chelmsford prison, they come to see Ronnie Bender, and Alex Steen and Ray Bender was talking to, obviously, Ron, their brother. Alex Steen came over to me and, you know, was talking to me about boxing, and when I get out and go there, this, but they wanted me to turn pro, Alex Steen, and but I wasn't interested. I wasn't going to get my licence back because I've already lost my licence. No, I didn't lose my licence, but I never had one to lose. you know, I had Mickey Duff and all that little firm on my case, you know, and it's, but I mucked it all up. I've been involved with women, and you know, and I was good. I was a good amateur, but I was knocking people out, and then turned pro, and then was going to turn pro, and I knew if I turned pro, I would have been someone, you know what I mean? But it's one of them things, isn't it? We've all got that. We've got a lot of things, all of us, yeah, that put in front of us as kids, and we see the opportunities there. There's not a lot of money in it, so we don't do it, and then we get nicked, and wish we had done it. You know, it's the same as me. When I got done for attempted murder of a police officer and all that, I wish to God that I'd been involved with my boxing more so, because I wasn't really getting much money, and I had to start doing robberies because boxing is about money. Boxing to box as a pro or as a good amateur, you've got to really have sponsorship. Because without sponsorship, you're working, mate, and it's hard work. It is hard work to be a good amateur and a good pro. You need sponsorship. That's why John O'Gardner, had good sponsorship. John O'Gardner had good sponsorship, and he did. And when I used to go down and have a stock here on Overlark, Johnny, and he was there, he had 4 or 5 people there, sponsors, you know, and you think to yourself, he's so lucky to have all that, mate. Well, he didn't have to work, did he? He didn't have to work. He was always getting good money from these people, and that's why he became a good amateur and then turned pro and then become a good pro. Very unlucky as a pro. He was the top, and just, you know, like everything, didn't actually get what he wanted to get, and then give it up and bought a couple of bars in Spain. But he made his money, you know. If it had been today, he'd got millions of pounds instead of 100 grand's worth, you know what I mean? So in them days, you might go and get a couple of 100 grand, and, you know, and now you go and get a couple of mil. I mean, look at Tyson Fury, what he's getting at the minute. He's getting 7 and 8 mils, 100 mils and all that for fights, being involved with the Arabs. You know, it doesn't matter. It's crazy, man. You know what I mean? You think, crikey, man, the money. Anyway, forget about that because I'm going out of the way here. This is going crazy. Yeah, but my father-in-law, you know, being involved with that little firm. My father-in-law was a proper man, proper gangster. Johnny BINDON was proper man, got involved with the wrong people, and then started to say, we've been over the island and all this, that and the other, with someone who was very high up royalty, and then, you know, getting Kruger hands, bringing them across, and, you know, and that's what he was doing, trying to dart him and doing boom, 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 and got stabbed up because the money that he was supposed to get, he didn't get. You know, so that's the story about Johnny BINDON. You know, Johnny BINDON, he was and could have been the tops, mate. You know, he had, you know, well gifted. Everybody knew he was gifted. The Krays knew he was gifted. That's what I can't work out. You know, when you see BINDON now with a kid, you're going to think, well, was he? Would he? Did he get involved with the Krays? Was he doing something with the Krays? Because they both died of AIDS, mate, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, that's what went around. I mean, I was in prison, you know, and all them things went around. You get to hear things, more in prison than you do out in the road. You know, more people coming in tell you things than enough, and that was what was going about, that all the Krays died of AIDS. And they say he died of cancer. He didn't die of cancer, mate, he died of AIDS. And then BINDON died of AIDS, and someone else died of AIDS, and someone else died of AIDS. Everybody was dying of AIDS around BINDON, mate. Anyway, bang, bang, rail. Please press the like button and subscribe, and good evening.